Here in New York, in the NY 21 race, that is our congressional seat. Of course, both sides of that race are up for contention because of Lee Stefanik stepping down from that role after 6 terms in Congress. About a week and a half ago, there was a debate in Albany. It was a televised debate through WRGB 6 out of Albany. So it was outside of our viewing area, but the Press Republican reported on it in last weekend's edition. And because of our busy news lineup last week, I could not report on it. So I'm catching up tonight. And there was more released on the Democratic side from the Times of Thai as well. The challenge was that the article from the Press Republican, in reporting simply what was said during the Republican debate, did not give much for what their platform actually is. It summarized the debate in noting that Smolin and Constantino went back and forth over a tax evasion charge that Smolin had in 2018. And Smolin dismissed the charge, noting some other electoral victories. And both candidates are attempting to line up their platform as being the most like the president. But Constantino, as of this time, has the official endorsement from the Trump administration or from the president. And so there was a lot of common ground. Both support the SAVE Act. Both support payments to those arrested on January 6th. That's from that anti-weaponization fund that we saw in the news last week. And the question came up about the 2020 election with some differing answers on that. Smolin said, yes, it was stolen, and Constantino took a more indirect approach, as it appeared. However, there was not much given in this debate on actual policy. Now, that was not a fault of the Press Republican by any means. And I would also like to note the Press Republican, because this came out of Albany, likely it was a borrowed article, but also they're just reporting what took place to you as much as I am. But there was very little covered for actual policy in that debate by the looks of it. And I would fault really whoever was doing the questioning for the debate itself more than the moderator, essentially, because there was nothing really on any actual policy in terms of where they stand on Israel, where they stand on the conflict, what they plan to do with the economy as it stands now. So it seems like a rather skewed line of questioning, if you ask me, which, given the media, doesn't surprise me. Now, the Democratic side, and this report did come through the Times of Thai, the Sun's Times of Thai, which likely was just a write-up in the paper. For the Democrats in the 21 race, this was very clearly articulated, so kudos to whoever did that reporting. But the two Democrats are Blake, I cannot pronounce Genebrian, and Stuart Moriah, the two Democratic candidates. Blake would like to, again, highlights the rising costs of goods as the number one concern for NY21 voters, blaming them on tariffs. Nothing new for Democrats, but that's what he blamed it on. Also mentioning the need for funding to upstate New York hospitals, and in typical Democratic fashion, immigration reform was also on the platform. Stuart Moriah, if I can get his name right, also highlighted affordability, probably the same issue in a repackaged form, citing housing affordability and what he termed as the overall quality of life. In Congress, he wants to balance the budget more or less by taxing the rich more, citing the national debt, and was also on the side of being more pro-immigrant or in the typical Democratic line. That was again from the Sun's reporting there. I believe that from what it looked like this week was just the report on the Democrats, and likely next week will come the report on the Republicans, which will be beneficial to that. And certainly we will follow up as well on getting that information for the Republican side in what seemed to be a very disappointing debate from what it seemed like. Again, not that surprising.